the beauty sometimes of working in the public is I get to share some news. Here's some news. A flash mob almost took over Canadian Parliament today when no one could stop dancing to the Macarena. Dry Cheerios have been replaced as a baby's favorite snack. Now it's a pint, hey! Vape soothers. Elon Musk's next frontier. I'm whatever, I'm not worth, this joke isn't worth it. This is your worst song. Wanted to just briefly cut in here before the episode starts fully and say when this comes out, I will have 2 shows, one at the Dakota on June 13th, which is the Thursday coming up from this episode, and another at Drom Taberna June 15th, which is the Saturday. In addition to that, check out Kicksie's latest concerts and the dates she's got going on. All right, thank you very much. Enjoy. Sorry. There you go. It's going to have
Nice.
that. Yeah. Okay, cool. So, I mean, I just like to get into it naturally. Like, there's no real, start exact question sort of thing. But I really
Sounds good.
appreciate you coming on. That's awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. We haven't actually met each other in person, but I mean, you're one of those musicians who are so active in the scene and around the Toronto scene that I feel like since I entered the scene, I've been seeing your name and you around, at least at the digital scene, let's say, which is a terrible way of saying social media. But how do you feel about it? Like, do you feel like you're pretty active on social media as well as around in the scene, or are you surprised when people sometimes tell you?
I definitely try my best to stay active. It's important. I'm really good at being on the internet more than I am in person. I'm kind of socially awkward in person for sure, but I've been trying to get more active in physically being in Toronto.
Does that mean you don't live here? Oh, okay, yeah. So go ahead, explain.
I've been moving around over the last few years. I've spent time in Bolton, Tottenham. I've been in Scarborough and Whitby. I've been all over the place. And I've been commuting back and forth to Toronto, which gets hard when I'm far away, I guess.
Yeah.
But I'm in Whitby right now, so I'm only like a 40-minute drive out. So I've been in Toronto like all the time. It's great. I love going to shows, and I love being a part of being there physically. It's so much better for me.
So do you drive then, or are you just... Yes, okay, yeah, very nice. Oh, brava. This is somebody who is not quite in the city, so you rely on cars more, right? And a lot of the people that I speak to here, it's just not a big thing on their mind to drive, just because you have the transit. But that's pretty interesting. So how long have you been active under Kicksie?
I've been doing Kicksie since early 2017 is when I started putting music out.
Okay, gotcha. And so what was the impetus for that? Why then? Why not earlier? Why not later,
I was doing projects earlier. I think I was going through a period in high school where I was changing my name, I guess, a bunch of different times. I had like a bunch of different names, and I kept releasing music under each of them, but I didn't really like any of them that much, so eventually I was able to land on Kicksie, and for some reason that's the one that stuck. I'm not really sure why, but...
I like it. It's hard to come up with a one-word thing that hasn't been done. And yet, here it is, right? What is that? That is, in fact, I said I was having you on to my roommate who is super involved in music, but more on the electronic side, doesn't follow the indie stuff as much. And so he hadn't heard of Kicksie, let's say, and he thought I said Pixie at first, and I said, no, Kicksie, and then I had to spell it. It's all just, it's unique in its spelling and its wording. Like, where does it even come from?
It came from... This is a really weird explanation, but when I was in high school, me and my sister were unloading the dishwasher together after dinner, And I asked her what a good band name would be. Just, she didn't really know I like made music at the time. At the beginning, I hid it from my family because I was shy and like really embarrassed of it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I just asked her, I was like, hey, like, what do you think like a good band name would be? And she told me, she was like, you should, like, a good band name would be like Kickstart. And I'm like, I hate that. Like, I really don't like that. I think it's really bad.
That's super funny.
I was just like, yeah, I was just playing around with the name in my head a little bit, like putting my plates in the cupboard, and I was like, I could mess around with this. And then I was kind of like jumbling the words in my head, and then I landed on that, and I was like, oh, like I think this might work, and it did. So
yeah, Kicksie is cool, and
yeah.
that's a cool.
If we never had a
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, if I never had to unload the dishwasher that night, who knows? You know?
See, chores are important for kids
They
for
are.
more than one reason. It's like you could get a band name out of it. That's so funny that that was the way you did it. You sort of backed into the question being like, if you were to start a band, what do you think is a cool name for it? And then such a sibling thing to be like, great, it's mine now, and you didn't even know what I was asking for.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Kickstart is, to me, it doesn't necessarily sound like a bad band name, but it doesn't suit what you're doing. It's more like I could see Kickstart on a bill with Sum 41 20 years ago, you know, or Green Day, something like that.
That's
so
that's
well,
exactly what I was thinking.
Speaking of those bands, I don't assume they're huge influences, but I am curious about what your influences are with Kicksie.
I have some pretty contrasting influences, I think. I think Sum 41 I would consider a big influence.
Okay.
I listened to a lot of Blink growing up. I listened to Blink growing up. I listened to a lot of Paramore. I listened to tons and tons of Paramore. Pierce the Veil was another band I listened to a lot. I also, at the same time, would listen to like 2000s R&B radio hits for some reason. Cameron. I listened to a lot of Outkast was great. Like I think the melodies and just the playfulness of Outkast music it's definitely inspired me. I do think growing up, my tastes now have kind of expanded into just mostly R&B or like alternative hip hop, like Tyler the Creator kind of music, and Frank Ocean's a major one for me. I think he's like my number one right now. And like SZA, just music like that. So
yes, they're sort of straddling a few different genres to create what they're doing.
Yeah.
No, they're all fantastic. Speaking just of a random thing that I saw with Tyler the Creator, do you know who Gerard Carmichael is, the comedian?
Yes,
you know the clip I'm about to bring up?
Yeah. I know the clip.
It blew me away because I know Tyler the Creator, like, as you know, a rap or alternative rap artist or whatever, and maybe with a little bit of, I can see how he feels natural in the comedy world and that he would have comedian friends. It makes sense. But I didn't know this Gerard Carmichael reality TV show existed. I mean, they're putting it out there in like the Will Smith family TV show way, if you remember that one. That was, anyway, super interesting clip. Lots of tension there.
It was wild.
I wish them both well getting out of that tangled mess. Yeah. Well, I'm curious. So it's out, you've been active in some way in music since high school. We can lead into what your worst gig was, but what was your first gig? Do you remember one that sticks out as a? This is like not Kicksie, just you in playing music publicly.
Okay. My first gig was, maybe talent shows don't count, do they? I don't think they do. I think it has to be like a gig, right?
Okay, we can. How young were you for the talent show that you were thinking of?
I was in the 6th grade. I don't think that counts, though.
Okay, you make your own rules, so it won't count. So what's the later one you're thinking of?
My first gig was I did this summer camp band thing, and we had like a gig at the end, and it was at this like music. It was like a music store / music school, and they ran this summer band camp thing that I joined, and I played guitar, and we just did a cover set. I think I was like 13 at the time. And we did like 5 or 6 songs. It was fine. I don't really remember much of it. I think I was looking at my shoes the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember much of that, but that was my first show.
This was somewhere in Ontario?
Yeah, this was in Bolton. It was downtown Bolton.
Nice. Is wherever you played still standing? Did it survive the pandemic?
No, it didn't. It actually closed down, I think, a year later. I think the landlords just one day just locked everyone out of the building. And my sister worked there. She was a piano teacher there. So she actually just showed up to work one day and she just couldn't get in.
Whoa.
And, yeah. I was there when it happened. It was wild because that place was the only good music place in that whole town.
Oh, that's brutal.
And so everyone just came to that place all the time, and then just one day it was gone and never came back. It was really upsetting.
Did any new area pick up the slack as a space to hang out in Bolton for musicians and play?
Honestly, not really. The town itself is really small. It's almost like an offshoot, I think, of Caledon, or a piece of Caledon in some way. I'm not fully sure what Bolton is, but not, even though I lived there for most of my life, I've got no idea.
You're like, did you though? Did you really? Does Bolton exist?
Yeah. Is Bolton real? I'm not sure.
For those listening, Kicksie has America on her sweater, so she's just trying to get as far from Bolton as possible, I guess.
Yes, that's exact. I have to escape. Get me out.
Okay, well, with that, then why don't we talk about your worst gig? Do you have one that comes to mind?
I've got a couple pretty terrible, pretty horrible shows.
Fantastic.
My worst gig, I think, was my first Kicksie gig that I did. It was really, really bad. I applied for this. It was a festival. It was like a small little festival. And it was just free. Like we had to be the ones to apply, and they would like call us back, and it was just like a volunteer thing. You go there, you play a short little set
for exposure, maybe some food.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Not even. It was just we just showed up and there was nothing else. But there was a good chunk of people there. There was a big outdoor stage. I think to this day it was still one of the biggest stages I played on. It was. I don't know how. It was just this huge outdoor stage for I don't know, and it was
just through applying.
Huh. Yeah, it was weird. I definitely think like the stage itself was big. The amount of people there, not really so much. I think there must have been only like 60 people. I'm not really sure, but
that's cool. Big stages are fun. You feel profesh. But yeah, all right.
Yeah, it was cool for sure. I was like, oh my gosh, look at me. But anyways, so I was all look at me, and then I got on the stage and I go to play my very first song, and I'm such a dramatic I'm such a just so dramatic, and I'm like on this stage, and in my head I'm like, this is my moment, like this is my chance, here I am, like living out my dream. And so I'm thinking, and I'm playing the first chords of my first song, and I just totally black out, and I forget all of the lyrics, I forget my chords, I forget everything about this song. So I just spewed gibberish for 3 minutes, and then after that, the rest of the set went in a pretty similar way. I didn't really forget anything, but I was so shocked at how poorly I did, since my intention was to step on that stage, and I'm like, here I am, this is my time, and then it just flopped, and it was so bad that there was like an MC there that cut my set short to kick me off the stage.
Oh, kick me instead of Kicksie. Sorry, I had to do it.
They kicked me. Yeah, that's what happened. They kicked me off the stage, and then I was supposed to come back for a second date. I think the festival was going to Toronto, and then they had like a spot in Markham, and they were like, so we don't really need you to come back. And I was like, okay.
Oh my god.
And that's how Kicksie got.
Don't name the festival, but I am curious if, one, it still exists, and two, if you ever had any future, like another year, any future performances with it.
I don't know if it still exists. It's not it wasn't a big one like at all. I think it was one of those. It was like, I think it was like to showcase diversity. I think that was the point of it. I'm pretty sure. I don't know, but there was like a bunch. There was
well-meaning, but almost more of a pop-up, maybe one-off festival.
Yeah. I think it was a pop-up kind of situation for sure.
Gotcha.
I haven't heard of them since, so like
I haven't even heard of them.
Yeah, and I've been blocking it out of my memory. I'm not trying to ever.
That's too funny. Okay, well, what about best gig? I mean, that's best stage, which sounds awesome. But I am curious, best full gig.
That's tough. We've recently been playing a lot of really good gigs.
They look really exciting on Instagram. I'm kicking myself for not having seen you live yet. When is your next show? I don't know when exactly this will come out. This will probably be like early June. So think about it that way.
Okay. My next show is June 1st in Tillsonburg, Ontario.
Okay, it's not going to be that early, June 1st, 6 a.m. so people can listen to it. What about late June? At this
point, when this episode airs, we would have announced that there's a show on August 8th,
Woo.
I think. I don't remember, but it's sometime in August. It's going to be early August. We're playing with cool bands. I think we're playing with Velvet Beach. We're playing with this band called Nutrients. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I don't know where it is. I'm pretty sure it's at the Monarch Tavern. I'm not sure. I've got no information.
No worries. No worries. If by the time this is out, people will know.
Yeah.
Be able to check out the information. So
exactly. You listen to this. You go to my Instagram and you'll see the poster. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, so
she's telling you right now, so get it done.
Exactly.
So nothing stands out specifically. You've just been blessed with a lot of good shows lately.
For best there's definitely some standout shows for sure. I think we recently went on tour with one of my favorite bands of all time, Oso Oso. It was such an incredible experience. We played such cool venues, and there was a few of those shows that stood out to me. We played at Brooklyn Made in Brooklyn. That show was incredible. They had like the stage, there's this big stage, and they had it was almost like a stand. It was like just this big across the front of the stage. I'm not sure how to explain it, but you could almost like jump on it.
Folks listening at home, she's doing a ton of hand movements that would help a lot. I'm doing my very best to explain it with my words, and I can't, but it was just almost like a big barrier, and so like we were able to just like run back and forth like in front of the stage, and it was just so cool. That was a great show. The sound was amazing. We played a really good set. Some other really good. There was a few good shows on that tour. There was we were in that's
Grand
pretty
Rapids.
Cool. You just got to do it in the U.S. I mean, I feel like for Canadian musicians alone, that's a really cool thing.
That, I think, to me, being in the States made all the shows so much more exciting because you're like away from home, and
totally.
And it's like a whole different experience. And for me, I'm once again, I'm wearing a shirt that says America on it.
Yes.
But for me, most of my audience or the people listening are actually from the States. So going there, it does tend to be a different experience for my band, for sure.
Is that just through social media reach, or how does that work?
I think so. I definitely think it has a lot to do with social media, and I also think it has to do with my team, and my manager's based in the States, my label's based in the States, so everyone there is like
working on that, like, from that perspective and on that end. Yes, I see.
For sure. So we go to the States.
Had you been to Brooklyn before, for example?
We've did a really big summer tour. I think we were gone for 8 weeks total, and we did all of like the East Coast, we did the Midwest, and we hit all the big states and stuff. We just didn't really go out to the West, but they were all repeat offenses when we went back in the winter. But yeah, we had a great time. There were some really, really good shows. It was a lot of fun.
That would be a good name for a tour.
Repeat offenses.
Yes. That'd be a good one. No, that's cool. Was there any place that surprised you when you went to it? Like, why is Grand Rapids fucking dope? You know?
Yes, actually, yes. The Grand Rapids show, was the one that surprised. We were like, where is this place in the United States? Like, why is this here? And why is everyone so
Michigan,
excited?
Right?
I think it's Michigan.
Grand Rapids, Michigan. Yeah. Wow.
Everyone was so excited.
Could you relate it to? Is it like an Oshawa, or is it bigger, closer to a Toronto? Or, I assume it's not a Toronto, but.
Just Grand Rapids itself, or just being in the States in general?
Oh, sorry, I meant just Grand Rapids, just out of curiosity. Like, how big did it feel? Because I find the smaller towns, even in Ontario, they're willing to come out to smaller events just because, like, there's some shit going on, which is great. They care more in that way. So I'm wondering if Grand Rapids is...
Yeah. That's a really good question. I feel like the shows, they were all decent, like some of the biggest crowds I think we've played to. I think each show maybe had 300 to 400 people, so every show just felt big.
That's
Grand
so cool.
Rapids, I think, was one of... It's cool because I think it was one of the smaller venues that we did, but the people, I do notice sometimes in smaller towns, people tend to be really, really excited about shows because they don't come, like, people don't come there that often. So I actually do notice, like,
and thankful.
I think it did make a difference.
Not just excited, but, like, thankful. It's so rewarding, you know?
Yeah. So
no,
I think,
cool.
I definitely think that's the case.
Cool. Well, because you've been active for a while, I am... even though you switched names in high school and that kind of thing, I mean, you've been Kicksie now for long enough. You said since 2017, right?
Right.
So how many releases have you had, EP or full albums?
Under in general, or...
yeah, under Kicksie. Like, well, you don't need to list them all. I'm just wondering, like, how are you feeling? What I'm getting at is... some artists, if they started in 2017, I would talk to them now and they'd go, we had 2 albums out and a few singles in between. And then there are other artists like Daniel Romano where it's like, we have fucking 50 out over the last 2 years. So which end of the spectrum are you closer to?
I definitely have, I think I'm right now, I'm working number 7, I'm pretty sure, as far as records go.
Number 7, okay.
I had a couple EPs in between. Yeah, I had a couple EPs in between. I don't really do singles often. I like just having full projects. That's kind of where I like putting my effort.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think around 6, 7-ish is where I'm at right now.
Cool, 6 or 7. And are you in the midst of writing or record? I assume if you have 7 since 2017, you're in some sort of process right now. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm always in the process.
You're like, which album you want to talk about? I'm writing 3.
Yeah, exactly. I've got one for each day of the week that I'm working on.
Ballpark. Have you got a release date for a new one, perhaps, or even just like 2025? You know.
What year is it? It's 2024, right? Just double checking.
For podcast listeners, we're actually speaking in the year 2031. Kicksie has released 17,000 albums. Yeah. So we're in the beginning of summer 2024.
Okay, great. I don't know why I forgot that. Anyways, I think it might be an early summer next year thing. The demos are pretty much all done. I'm really, really excited about this record I'm working on right now. It's it's been such a great experience to write it and stuff. But I'm normally like a summer release kind of person, and because the summer is like, I can't really have it done this summer. I've got to wait. So I think maybe next year summer is when it'll happen.
Right. Because you feel like it's probably already the beginning of summer. It's too late to begin the process of releasing it. You wouldn't release it until like it's August at least, or September. Is that the idea? Because you have to have it go through your label and other people and so on.
Yeah.
What is it like?
So yeah, if it
in that having that process where you are the one creating, I assume, the bulk of it, if not all of it, other than maybe some people playing session stuff or whatever. So once you're done the demos, like you've said you are, what's the next step? I'm curious what you do.
Normally after the demos, I go straight into recording it. I can just work as much as I want. I don't really have deadlines, at least for this record. There's nothing really set. I haven't really had that conversation.
Do you have a studio you go to, or do you do it just... I see the drum set behind you. Okay, yeah, it's all...
I do everything here. It's all...
Just you and Pikachu.
Me. It's just me and my little Pikachu.
Yeah, I can see a Pikachu in the background, which is great. It's great.
Yeah, I just do all of it here. The last record I did, Slouch, I did the drums in a studio. I had one of my friends, Vanya, play drums on that record. They did such an amazing job. It was the first time, I guess the second time I had someone playing my songs on a record. The first time is my now live bassist, Alex. He played bass for me on the record. Before that, all my friends. Normally I just really do it myself because sometimes I can be super like, I know how I want things to be.
I'm with you. I'm the same way.
So
yeah.
Yeah, so just to save everyone around me the hassle, I'm just like, I'll handle this.
Well, that's a cool way to... Well, do you mind saying the name of the label? We can also cut this part out if you don't want to talk about them, but...
Oh, yeah, it's Counterintuitive. Yeah.
And they're based in the US, it sounds like, Northeast, so New York or what?
They're from Boston.
Boston. Okay, very nice. How did you hook up with them? How did you hear about it?
They, one day randomly, I was at work. I was working at a thrift store at the time, and my manager sends me a text, and she sends me this email, and Counterintuitive was actually a label that when me and, her name's Regina, my manager, so me and Regina were talking, and she was like, give me a list of, like, labels you really like, and they're, like, really, really big, a really good label, in that kind of, just like the emo scene, kind of. They've got a lot of really great, like, just legendary bands on their roster, and so I was like, I really think this label would be cool if we could like get on it. But we never sent them an email, nothing like that. It was just kind of just a thing that happened. And one day they sent my manager Regina an email like, "Hey, what's Kicksie up to?" And I had nothing. Like, I was not up to anything. Yeah. And I was like, tell them I have a record. Like, tell them I have a record ready. So Regina's like Kicksie has a record. And I went home and I wrote, I've never written anything faster in my life. And then, so yeah, the demos for Slouch, I wrote them in like record timing, and I'm like, here's the record that I've been working on for like the last year.
It's such a big part of me.
It's such a big part of my life.
By the way, it's just speaking of Slouch, you have it referred to in your Instagram bio, which makes sense, but you also describe yourself as a Gabe itch. And I hadn't put it together until I was reading it for this. And for those listening, I'll say it faster. Her name is Gabe Itch.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah,
first name her. Gabe, last name Itch.
It's family name.
Yeah, it's family name.
I've got the inside scoop on an upcoming Dateline episode. Who does it feature? One of Nellie's face band-aids. Where did they go? Who are they with? Whose face are they canoodling? Find out this week. And now the music is kind of sounding a little bit more like People's the Diamond Store. Are you in trouble with your partner? Get them some jewelry, they'll love it. People's. Slouch is a fantastic name for a record. How did you come up with Slouch? The name?
It's one of the lyrics in my song Sinking In. I go, what do I say? Slouching, cause I lost all my height. And I was like, oh, Slouch is a cool name. And
Yeah.
I think Sinking In was originally supposed to be called Slouch, but I didn't want it to be the title track. So I was like, shit, I'm gonna change the name of Sinking In to Sinking In, and I'm gonna take this record.
I know exactly what you mean. You don't want to double up. You can just mix and match, and then none of your audience is the wiser until they listen to this.
Exactly.
No, I love that. Okay, well, let's get to it. Let's get to what you think your worst song is that you've released.
Okay, let's get into it. My very worst. I don't think it's my worst song. I almost think I do this running bit because of how much I just hate it. But I don't think it's really my worst song. But on Slouch, it might be the second last track. It's one of the later tracks, a song called Jaws. I hate that song with a burning passion. I don't know what, and even while I was writing it, I thought it was bad, but I needed I needed the extra, like,
time.
I just needed the time. I needed to add another song on this record. And I thought when I first came up with it, I came up with a guitar riff. And I thought the guitar riff was really, really cool. And then I came up with the vocals and I was like, this is a nice bouncy little melody. Like, this is cool. But the more I kept working on the song, the more I was just like, God, this song is it's just terrible. Like, I don't even know why.
Because of the amount of work you're putting into it, or because it's not coming naturally, and that's a bit annoying because it's so nice when it does come naturally. Or what?
I think it might have been a bunch of different things. My main issue was that while I was writing Slouch, because I had booked studio time, I only really had a set amount of time to get the songs done, and Slouch was the last song. I mean, Jaws was the last song I had written for the record, so I wrote it really close to when we were actually going into the studio. And I wish that if I had taken more time on this record, I think Jaws itself could have been better, but I couldn't really change it afterwards because the drums are tracked and I can't really go back to the studio, but I don't really want to record my own drums because then there's just going to be one song that's inconsistent with the rest
I relate to this so much. Oh, this is right? Of this back, and it's like tennis in your mind.
Exactly. And it's just all of these things. And so I just bit the bullet and I was like, I'll just record this song and I'll just leave it. But I think there's so much more I could have done with it. I think the drums could have been changed. I think the whole thing could have been sped up. I think it's just really, really slow. And the melodies, like the chorus melody, isn't as catchy as I think it could be. And there was just a lot of aspects of the song that it wasn't ready. It wasn't ready to be released, I don't think. If I had given it more time, I really think it could have been a good song. But at this point, God, I don't know. I tried post-studio, I tried to save it by like adding like cute little synth bits and like little tiny little things, and I like changed up the bass and I did this and I did that and nothing helped. It just
So do you think it's because you didn't you think it's because it was the drums that you never ended up changing, and that's just such a strong indicator of personality in a song that no matter what other bells and whistles you added, you couldn't step away?
Yeah. I don't think it was the drums itself that ruined it for me. I think it was not being able to change it afterwards, like the commitment. And I'm a very I was re-recording bass the night before I sent my label the masters for the record. Like I'm that like
I mean, you're just following suit with how you first got in touch with this record label, which is like
exactly. It's just like everything is like a last minute change. In fact, I gave them the masters and then I changed the masters a second time. So the vinyl version of Slouch has totally different masters than the actual digital version, and there's actually pieces that I added onto the record after the first wave of vinyls came out, and I didn't even tell anyone that happened. So it's like,
so people right now are finding out there are 3 different versions, basically, of the. That's fantastic.
Version, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, that's cool. Go and if you're listening and you have Kicksie's vinyl, go and listen and then compare it with a friend or the digital version and see what's different.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I think, especially probably with Jaws, you'll probably hear a lot of different things that it wouldn't have helped either way, but I tried.
Well, speaking of reviving it in studio, have you tried to revive it live to the point that it excites you when you play it?
Or
do you just not play it at all?
We don't play Jaws. It is on our blacklist of songs. I don't even think I had my band learn it.
Wow.
I went, because I always knew I just didn't like it. So when I took it to the live band, I was like, let's skip over this one. I don't like this song. We're not going to play it.
Have you heard from people that they like it?
A lot of people do like Jaws.
You sound super convincing.
For reasons beyond my knowledge, I'm not sure exactly why. But people like it. I don't think I've ever had a person be like, I love Jaws so much, this is my favorite. I don't think that's even possible. So physically, it's not the song. That's
too funny. Well, it sounds like you've pretty settled on that pick, which is fair. In addition to that, maybe end on an uptick. What's a favorite song that you like? What's one of your favorite or best songs where you think you pulled it off? Whatever it is.
I know I can't say unreleased music as an answer, so I won't, but I will say that the record I'm working on now is better in every aspect. Literally all the best songs that I've ever released are probably 20 times worse than the worst song on this record that I'm working on now, if that makes sense.
Why is there such a jump in quality, in your opinion?
I think the issue was it's because I do everything alone. I'm mixing alone, mastering alone. I record the instruments myself. As I grew and I started this project in high school, I was not really great at my instruments. I wasn't great at mixing. I wasn't great at anything. And I had to learn all these things. So every time I did a record, I got exponentially better at it.
But we were listening to you learn, basically, and now you think you've learned, is the idea.
Yeah. That's pretty much the idea. And I think this time around there's such a massive leap just because I've been touring, I've had experience touring, I've been playing songs, I've been exposed to so much new music and so many local bands across Ontario and across the States, and I've just been so exposed, and it's helped me so much that these songs are just, for me, just on a level that I just can't even process it quite yet. Exactly.
You're making me excited. That's so mid 2025. It sounds like, or summer.
They're great
maybe.
Songs.
So
they're really great.
Even if you're going to release them sometime, hopefully next year, are you playing them live earlier than you release them publicly? Will you be doing it in the fall? Okay, yeah.
Oh, we're already playing. We are already playing them live, and as I change the demos, I take them to the band, and I'm like, okay, here's another change on this song. Here's another change. But the songs are just so much fun to play too that it's I've already taken off all the other the whole set list besides "You're On" and "Sinking In," which are just the two most popular songs I have out right now. I think
it's all just
the
new.
Only ones that have. It's all new songs.
I love that. How at this point is your label pretty used to working with you this way? They know you're going to they know your process?
Yeah, they understand me, and I think counterintuitive, they're great. They really just let me run wild, which is exactly what I need. They don't really, they're like, you know what, we support you, do whatever the heck you need to do, and
that's all you could ask for.
That's all you can ask for.
Yeah. And then I assume they help with stuff like PR and just getting the word out and stuff like that. But other than that,
they do the label stuff.
Other than label stuff, that's good to have it's one thing to have you as a client, and then it's another thing to sort of empathize maybe with your work style and actually get it. So anyway, that's fantastic. It was great to have you for this chat. I'm so glad that we finally met this way and could talk this way, and talk songwriting. I actually have a final question. When did you come up with the hair splitting thing?
Oh my gosh.
For the listeners, although chances are if you're listening to this episode, you know what Kicksie looks like, but it's half split blonde and dark brown.
I don't know why I started doing it. I can't answer, but I've been doing it for like the last few years. I started doing it in like 2021. It's hard to stop now because
pandemic shit. You never know. You can just say pandemic.
It's just a pandemic shit. Like I just fucking need to dye only half of my head.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it's hard to change now because it's just such like a part of my image. Everyone
I agree with you. That's why I wanted to bring it up. It's a little bit like your very own Slash top hat, except it's that.
Exactly. I'm gonna have to change it at some point. I just don't know when or how.
New album cycle. At least do a David Bowie and align it that way.
Yeah, exactly. I'll switch the blonde to the other side.
That's fantastic. That's a great idea. Okay, well, if you wouldn't mind, just say the name of your worst air quotes song again, your name, and just thanks for listening.
Okay. Hey, I'm Kicksie. My very worst song ever of all time is the song called Jaws, and thank you so much for listening to this.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It was really
Of course. Thanks.